Hey there, mathematicians. Welcome to Lesson 8, Activity 3. Now, for this activity, you do not need anything except your undivided attention. We're going to be talking about some different ways to subtract, some strategies you can use using addition that we already know. Let's get started. All right, so we're going to talk about what strategies could you use to find 130 minus 80. Now, when you notice, look at my screen here, there's 6 different ways. One of these ways is going to make more sense to you than the other ways. I just want you to focus on, hey, I get that one. That's the method I want you to use. I'm going to show you different methods because there may be a way you haven't thought of before or another way to solve a problem. Let's get started. The first thing I need to do is figure out 130 minus 80. Well, one way I can do that is to count by 10. So I'm going to count by tens mentally, which means I'm using my brain. So in my head, I'm thinking, 80 and something is 130. So in my brain, I'm thinking, well, 80 and some more is 130. So what I'm going to do is count to 130. My start number is 80. My stop number is 130. And I'm going to count by 10. So I'm going to stick my finger up. So I start with 80, got my fist out, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130. Now, if you are counting along with me, you should have 5 fingers up. Well, I counted by tens. So 5 tens would be 50. So I think if 80 plus 50 is 130, 130 minus 80 should be 50. That's one way to do it. Another way, if you have a hard time keeping those numbers straight in your brain, you can do a drawing. It's similar to what we just did. I'm going to start with 80. So here's my 80. Then I'm going to add a 10 stick. That would be 90. Another 10 stick would be 100. Another 10 stick would be 110. Another 10 stick would be 120. Another 10 stick would be 130. And that's my stop number. So then when I come back and look, I see 5 10 sticks here, right? So if I know 80 plus 50 equals 130, then 130 minus 80 must be 50. All right, so far we've looked at 2 different ways to count by tens to subtract. Now we're going to look at place value. When I look at place value, I'm going to think about, wait a minute, that's like if I have 8 tens plus some number of tens I don't know, that equals 13 tens. Well, wait a minute. We start with 8 tens. Then I'm going to say in my head, 8 tens, 9 tens, 10 tens, 11 tens, 12 tens, 13 tens. Let's count up how many times I counted by 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I counted by tens 5 times, so that would be 5 tens. So 8 tens and 5 tens equals 13 tens, then I can flip it around. 13 tens minus 8 tens equals, you got it, 5 tens. Now think about this. We just counted by tens and subtracted, but we flipped it around to use addition. One of these ways probably made sense to you. That's the way I want you to use. Now, sometimes we have problems like this where we don't use tens. Instead, we might use hundreds. So now we're going to make 100 to subtract. We're still using the same problem. 130 minus 80 equals, okay? But this time we're going to use a 100 strategy. Now let's think about this. If I'm thinking about this, I know 80 plus something equals 130. Now last time we did the same thing, but we counted by tens. This time we're using hundreds. So I'm thinking, wait a minute, I start with 80. How many tens do I have between 80 and 100? Well, when I think about that, it takes 2 more tens because 8 tens and 2 tens equals 10 tens, which is 100. So I know I need to get 20 to get to 100, right? So from 80 to 100, I need 20. But then 100 to 130, I need 30 more. So my answer is going to be 20 plus 30, which is 50. Now I know we solved that up above. This method for me was tough. My brain did not like this method, but one of you it might click for, and if it does, use it. All right, the next way we can look at is with a drawing. We start with 80. Now I've got to figure out, if I start with 80, how many do I need to make 100? 80, 90, 100. So I know this is 20. And I'm like, wait a minute, but I still have to get to 130. So I've got 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130. And I know that these equal 30. So I've got 20 plus 30 more. So I know 80 plus 50 equals 130. And I can flip it back around. 130 minus 80 equals 50. Going to be honest with you guys, that way for my brain was a little tougher to wrap around too. One of you might click for. Okay, last way, place value. Now, if I've got to figure out 130 minus 80, I've got to think. This is like 8 tens plus, I don't know how many tens, equal 13 tens. Okay? Now, I've got to figure out how many tens does it make 100? How many tens does it take? Do I trade out to make 100 flat? Well, I know that if I have 8 tens, I've got to get 2 more tens to equal 100, right? Then I've got to figure out, how many tens do I have over 100? Well, it takes 3 more tens to make 130. So I've got 8 tens and 2 tens make that 100, plus 3 more tens to make 130. So I've still got 2 tens plus 3 tens, so I know the answer is going to be 5 tens or 50. Now, before you are done with this video, I just want you to think, these are 6 different methods, you guys. And honestly, one of them makes better sense to you than the others, and that's okay. I just wanted to show you all the different ways in case one clicks more than the other. All right, thanks for your listening ears. Uh-oh, I've got another problem here. Let's take a look. I've got 1,000 minus 800. All right, if I have a problem like this, I want to count on by hundreds to subtract. Going to be honest with you, this is what my brain does. 800, I've got to stop at 1,000. 900, 1,000. So when I've got to figure out 1,000 minus 800, I'm thinking 800 and 2 more 100 flats is 1,000. So 1,000 minus, well, actually, let's do this. 800 plus that 200 equals 1,000. So if I flip it around, 1,000 minus that 800 equals, you got it, 200. Okay, now we're going to do it one more time, but we're going to do it by making a drawing. So if I've got 800, and I'm going to add 2 more, 800, 900, 1,000. Here we go. This whole thing equals my long 1,000, doesn't it? So I could say, wait a minute, 1,000 is equal to 1,000. So 800 plus 200 equals 1,000. And we can flip it around. 1,000 minus 800 equals 200. Okay, I don't want you to be super duper confused by all that I've shown you today. What I do want you to do is recognize which method makes the best sense to you. That's the one I want you to use. Great job.